From Studio 1A in Tampa, Florida, comes a talk show that really feels your pain and tells you like it is. We love America and all that freedom-loving Americans want to protect. Live from coast to coast and on your radio, it's For the People with Keith Allen.
We'll help you survive this thing called life. We're for the people. Whatever your source of stress or strife, for the people is there.
Well, hello, ladies and gentlemen. I am Keith Allen, and proudly welcoming you into this Thursday's edition of For the People for October the 26th, 2017. Mum is the word. According to many on the recent Fusion GPS scandal, as the Dems Dossier denials are piling up, it all really now makes complete sense to me as to why the Dems chose to push so hard on a Russian collusion case to try to get Donald Trump kicked out of the White House. It is very clear. I mean, I said it yesterday about the collusion, but with this special counsel now, Trey Gowdy, Chuck Grassley, we're going to hear from both. It will be amazing to really see how the Dems, in my opinion, will be able to really project themselves as being a credible party to reckon with when it comes to the next election cycle. I mean, this is very damning, extremely damning. As a matter of fact, much more damning than any of the emails. Much more damning even than Benghazi, which that was terrible, by the way. Very, very bad stuff. Trey Gowdy, very respected, talking about this whole thing with the dossier, breaking it down and giving us the info for us to be able to understand the real connection with Russia, the Clinton campaign, and the DNC, with, yes, them paying more than $9 million to a law firm that in turn retained the political consults with commissioned the now infamous Trump dossier. But nobody at the top is basically speaking out. They're not saying anything. Not a big surprise. I don't know anything about it. That's what Hillary Clinton is saying. Here's Trey Gowdy.
Whatever he has, it's a really important issue. Uranium is a really important resource. CFIUS, which is the Council on Foreign Investment in the United States, made a decision. I need to make sure they had access to all the information. And if there's an ongoing criminal probe when they're making that important decision, I need to make sure that there are no barriers to their access to information. So talking to witnesses is usually a good thing, and I'm glad the Department of Justice has made him available.
Well, because there was a gag order on the FBI agent who blew the whistle. So now they're going to be able to question, they're going to be able to get information, and the information is flowing very, very well, as a matter of fact. Trey Gowdy, I hear that Grassley is definitely looking into this. What say you about that?
I have tremendous respect for Senator Grassley, and I mean that. That's just not political speak. He's one of my favorite folks on the other side. My view on special counsel is a little different. There's a regulation. There has to be a conflict of interest with the Department of Justice, and none of the other U.S. attorneys can be able to do it, and I don't think we've met that threshold. I think things that ought to be looked into should first be looked into by the Department of Justice. That's who we hire. Those are the men and women that we trust to do it. Special counsels are a really unique fact pattern, and I don't know that we've met the threshold for that yet.
All right, here's the big question that a lot of people are putting out, and an obvious one. Did the DNC, did the Democratic National Committee use the dossier to spy on Trump? I mean, to me, that would seem like a no-brainer. And it would probably be a good excuse where they could use that as a cover.
Well, we are certainly going to find out. Who financed the dossier is relevant. It's important to some of my colleagues. What's most important to me is whether or not the world's premier law enforcement agency relied upon a piece of investigative work that would make the National Enquirer blush. That's what I want to know, whether or not the FBI relied upon it to launch an investigation and whether or not they relied upon it in court filing.
Okay. So Hillary Clinton, I mean, she's, the reporters, the press are trying to hound her on this. And I hear that Hillary Clinton didn't know anything till, I guess, a BuzzFeed story released on this. What do you say?
I'm not a human polygraph. I don't know what she what she knew or did not know. I would find it pretty interesting if her campaign was making decisions at that level that she didn't know about. But I don't have anything to contradict her with other than her past.
Did you hear that? Other than her past. And her past certainly precedes her. This is bad. This is not going to get away. This will definitely prove infallibly that they were colluding with this dossier to use their money. Did not release. The biggest thing is that they did not release the name. They did not release the proper information, and they didn't. This is not a surprise. This is something that the DNC does. This is something that Hillary Clinton has done repetitively. She doesn't follow rules like the emails. And for her to say that she doesn't know, it's beyond her knowledge about what happened. Obama knew. The Department of Justice knew. The FBI knew. And Representative Trey Gowdy is taking this investigation into the uranium deal, another Russia deal, very, very seriously. A spokesperson for Representative Debbie Wasserman Schultz, who, interesting, led the DNC at the time, is telling Fox News yesterday that she did not have any knowledge of this arrangement. Amnesia. A DNC official stressed that current chairman Tom Perez and the new leadership of the DNC were not involved in any decision-making regarding Fusion GPS, or they weren't aware of the Perkins Cole who was working with the organization. Now, in a carefully worded response, mind you, former Clinton campaign spokesman Brian Fallon told CNN yesterday that he didn't personally know, but left the door open as to his boss's awareness on this whole deal. The Washington Post reported this week, Fox News confirmed this, that the political consulting firm Fusion GPS was retained last year by Mark Elias, an attorney representing the DNC and the Clinton campaign. The firm had hired former British intelligence officer Christopher Steele to write the now infamous dossier. We've been seeking to clarify who knew what and when. Fallon suggested on CNN that the campaign could have cleared the law firm to commission some kind of research, but as for the decision to retain Fusion GPS and Steele, Clinton may or may not have been aware. So who knows, right? That's CNN for you. This goes so much deeper here. This is not just a nothing burger. I can tell you, because I know a lot of folks there on the left are like, oh, this is nothing. This is something. This is pretty big deal here. The Campaign Legal Center filed the complaint yesterday with the Federal Election Commission, accusing the DNC and Clinton's campaign committee of breaking, this is the big one, the campaign finance law by failing to accurately disclose the money that was spent on the Trump-Russia dossier. And there's a lot of questions: who paid for the dossier, the Clinton fund, their campaign fund, and also the Clinton Foundation. Questions who paid for the dossier are the subject of this intense public interest, and it's precisely the information that the FEC reports are supposed to provide. So, folks, we're going to be watching this very, very closely, but I think a lot of people are going to be called to the carpet on this about the payments that were wrought and how they abused, again, and used the opportunity to spin this thing in Trump's direction, where there is something a lot more sinister that's going on that shows there is a definite meddling with the Russian government in, how do I say this, controlling a lot more, like our uranium, controlling a lot more with our politicians, a lot more involved with our government than they've been letting on. And it really, really looks like Obama and Clinton, if anybody had some kind of special secret deal. Remember Obama, I told you yesterday, reminded you when he said, I'll have I'll be able to work with you more after the election. I'll have more latitude. This is about the time when the uranium deal was heating up and getting ready to go. And the FBI knew about this whole deal. So I just wonder if, when they were putting this thing together, if they were doing this to really try to cover their tracks and make these deals because they so believed that they were going to get into the White House, that Hillary was going to be in there hook, line, and sinker, and that they would have never, ever had to deal with this, and they never would have had to explain themselves. And that's why they hit Trump so friggin' hard over Russia, to cover their tracks. I'm convinced. I'm convinced of this whole thing. And yes, bribes and money exchanged, and a lot of money exchanged, as a matter of fact. But this is a growing investigation. And the nuke industry to obtain deals with President Barack Obama, 20% of your rate. I mean, that you make nukes out of that stuff, folks. And then Mueller, involved with any of this, they're saying special counsel. They say he shouldn't be involved because it's a conflict of interest. As you know, Mueller served as FBI director under both Obama and the former Bush administration. So Grassley's call for the special counsel comes as the FBI yesterday released the informant who had previously had a gag order from a confidant, and it's a very confidential agreement which will allow him to testify to Congress about what he knew concerning the efforts from Russia to gain control of U.S. nuclear materials through a deal with Uranium One. And Republicans have sought an investigation since 2015 after it was reported that former President Bill Clinton had collected $500,000 from a Russian bank, adding to donations that were sent to the Clinton Foundation while Hillary Clinton was Secretary of State. Okay, so that's where that comes in. And the Obama administration said that it had no reason to block deals that eventually gave Russia President Vladimir Putin control over 20% of the United States uranium stockpile. Grassley said that he himself isn't seeking a separate special counsel because of any kind of accusations against Mueller, as he believes the former FBI head to be a man of high ethical standards. The senator said that he does not know who the FBI informant is, but he presumes his committee will have an opportunity to question him, and he's a him because they are calling him he. Very interesting stuff, folks. Very interesting stuff. Just a sad day for America to realize